Today we're going to look at how to find the lowest common multiple using factor trees. So we've already looked at how to find the lowest common multiple by listing multiples. So let's review that real quick. So if we're looking for the lowest common multiple of 12 and 15, we write those numbers in here. Alright, we're going to start listing multiples of 12. We have 12, 24, 36, 48, 60, 72, 84, 96. Hopefully we won't have to keep going. Now we're going to do the same thing with multiples of 15. So we start with 15, and then we've got 30, 45, 60, 75, 90, 105, 120. It looks like we do have a common multiple here of 60. Alright, so 60 is our lowest common multiple. Now sometimes when we're dealing with bigger numbers, we don't always have those multiples memorized, so it's not that easy to just list them, especially if we start having to get into bigger and bigger multiples. So we can use factor trees. And let's start by making a factor tree of 12. Let's skinny up that brush. Okay, so 12. So making a factor tree, you want to pick out two factors of 12. Can't pick out one because then this would just go on and on forever. So let's do 3 times 4. You could have done 2 times 6 and you'd eventually get down to the same answer. So 3 and 4, well 3 is prime, so let's circle that, we're done with it. 4 isn't prime. We can factor that down into 2 times 2. Now 2 is both prime, so we are done with that factor tree for 12. Now we're going to do the same thing for 15. Let's do 3 times 5. And, well, those are primes, so that's our factor tree. Okay, now here's how you find the lowest common multiple. Look at your second number. So we're going to look at 15. We're going to look at this factor tree. We're going to take a look at each factor. Let's start with 3. We want to look and see, is there a 3 over here in our factor tree of 12? Well, there is. There's one right there. So we're going to cross out the 3 from our 15 factor tree. Now we're going to do the same thing with the number 5. There isn't one in our factor tree for 12, so we're going to leave that as it is. Now you're going to take all the numbers that are still left, that are circled here, you're going to multiply them together. So we have 2 times 2 times 3 times 5. And that's equal to, well, 2 times 2 is 4, times 3 times 5 is 15, and 4 times 15 is 60. So our lowest common multiple is 60, which we found when we listed our multiples as well. So let's do one more example really quick. We're going to find the lowest common multiple of 8 and 18, and we're going to do this by using factor trees. So let's start by making a factor tree for 8. Well, we can factor this into 2 times 4. 2 is prime, so we're done with that one. 4 can get factored into 2 times 2. And again, 2 is prime, so we're done there. 18 can get factored into 2 times 9. Well, 2 is prime, and 9 isn't. We can factor it into 3 times 3. Alright, so 3 is prime, so we're done there. So let's take a look at 18. We're looking at our first factor here, 2. Is there a factor of 2 and 8? Yes, there is. So there is a factor there. So we're going to cross that one out. Now we look at our next one of 3. Is there a factor of 3 in our factor tree of 8? Nope, there's not. So we know there isn't for either one of those 3's. So we're going to leave them alone, and now we're going to list out all the factors that are left over from both trees. And we have 2 times 2 times 2 times 3 times 3, which is 4 times 2 times 3 is 6 times 3. Well, 4 times 6 is 24 times 3. And you can use a calculator if you're not sure, but it's 72. So our lowest common multiple of 8 and 18 is 72. Alright, well, as always, if you have questions, give me a K-mail or give me a call on my office line. Thanks.